Hello, everyone. We are excited to have you here. This is the Public Speakers Association Virtual Summit, and I am Lawanna-Parker, your host for the day. I don't know about you, but I am just thrilled to be here. And a few people will tell you that I enjoy running my mouth. So you'll hear me popping in quite often in a nice way, of course. We have our several speakers today, and I'm excited to hear what they have to say, the information that they will be sharing with us. Just get your pen and paper out, because they're going to give you some golden nuggets, some things that you can use in your life today. And our first speaker this morning is going to be none other than Dr. Annika, and she is going to speak on the power of you. How to find your best you in 3 simple steps. I sure want to hear that. And it is all about mindset, and you can do it. So please, let's give her a very warm welcome, Dr. Annika.
Thank you. And I'll just go on then, right? The power of you, that starts with you caring for you and your situation right now. And I am very sorry about I see that my image is popping. I hope it will get over. And the best you will find with a you that is less stressed. And stress in your life, it's not all the things you have on your to-do list. It's a biological reaction when the demands are higher than your ability. You have too much to do, it's too hard, or you have too little to do. That can also be very, very stressful. And this system that we have, that was set up some 200,000-ish years ago. And that's when we were made human beings, and we were made the version 1.0. And we lived on the savannah or in the caves, and we had to fight animals and other dangers. And our everyday to-do thing was to sleep, rest, eat, fight, hunt for eating, and reproduction, making babies to save the species. And those were the basic needs, and that's what we were made to from a biological stand. And the best tool was the ability to move around, the physical activity. And that was made so that we could see the dangers. So that the good connection between the thinking and the moving the body was a survival thing back then at that time. And we were awake when it was light in the daytime. And over the years, there has been no progress at all with us. But the world around us has gone from the version 1.0 to, let's say version 5.0, or I don't know, 6.0, 7.0. I don't really know where we are. We are way, way, way far from the world that we as biological creatures were made in. And it's also a 24/7 world, and we are made for the daylight world. So there's a big conflict, and it's today with us in this new environment. It's not okay to run away from your boss or hit them or play dead when they ask you to do more. But those are the reactions that you have built in your system. It's still the same. And some of you might think that maybe we could find a way to get rid of the stress hormones, that we don't really need them today because we don't have to hunt for food. It's all there. But no, they are part of our biology, of our life. With no stress hormones pumping around in your blood, you are dead. Yeah, you heard me right. It is totally impossible to live with no stress hormones. The goal is to keep them on a normal level, to stay calm. And the first great step to keep the hormones on a normal level is to take good care of yourself, to get energy. And I'm not talking about anything complicated, just basic regularity with sleep, eat, and exercise, because the 1.0 version of us loves regularity. We even have our heads full of internal clocks for all our basic functions. Our bodies want and crave food and sleep at the same hour, day after day. And I mean every day, even on the weekends, because your brain does not know what day it is. It doesn't know it's Sunday or Monday or Tuesday. It has to do its work every day. And these routines are known as our circadian rhythm, and they have a huge impact on our well-being, both physically and mentally. And it's when those clocks in our brain are disturbed and out of order, that's when we get ill. We feel out of rhythm. So I'm going to talk about those 3 basic ways how to satisfy the clocks, because that's what you need to do. The first one is the sleep. 7 to 8 hours per night, same time every night, even weekends, to keep the clocks happy. You will not save time by sleeping less, because then you get more tired and less concentrated and you do more faults. And you have to do it over again. And you have lost time instead. So a solid nighttime routine, same. And no electronic devices in the bedroom, because the blue light inhibits the sleep hormone melatonin every time you look at your device. And you will get, the sleeping will be affected. And also clear your bedroom for sleep. It's not for work, because the things that you have for work, if they are in your bedroom, they are distracted by our subconscious mind. Okay, then we have the second one, it's eat. 3 main meals per day at regular hours to keep the clocks happy. That's all there is. And a couple of healthy snacks to keep your energy levels on top for your brain thinking, because the brain needs a steady flow of energy to function fully, energy and nutrients, not just empty calories. Because junk food, including so-called energy drinks, they drain your energy by hijacking your blood sugar system. You get speeded and then you get drained and you are turned into a slow thinker. And who wants to be a slow thinker? So eat regularly and lots of fruits and greens to please your immune system. Then the third one is daily exercise. 30 minutes brisk walk daily is a good bottom line, preferably in the daylight, so you get the light into your brain to get it kick-started, because moving your muscles boosts your brain cell activity and your thinking gets clear, like I told you for the need on the savannah back then. So it's the same. That's what we crave for, actually. And another way to look at this is to compare us with other biological beings. You know, in biology, plants want the perfect soil to grow. With perfect soil, it grows resistant to disease and will bloom beautifully. With bad soil, it will have a hard time to grow, will catch diseases, and it will not bloom. It's with the same analogy. We are the soil of our lives. If you give your body what it wants from a biological angle, we will be healthy and strong, and disease will not so easily stick and thrive. If we instead feed ourselves with junk food, don't care for our sleep according to the internal clocks and just sit as couch potatoes, our bodies will be an easy victim for disease. So as you can see, there's a lot to win by taking care of these 3 activities in your daily living. And these 3 are your energy tools, very important energy tools for your basic life, for the good life. And I know it's not easy to change all these to the perfect state in a flash. But you can start with one thing, the one that you feel is the easiest for you. And that may differ between us because we have different needs. And if you start changing one thing and then change another one, it will be easier as you go along. And in the end, you will see a big difference. And if you find it easy, get an accountability partner or even a mentor if you feel like you need good help. So getting these 3 right is the foundation of your health and the standard you need to be able to be less stressed in this stressed out world. When you're having the energy in place, it's time to do changes for the better in your life. Because as you know, keeping on doing the same way, you will get the same result and the same amount of stress, of course. This is where the real work begins. And this is where you have to start working to find the absolutely best power of you. And to give you a head start, I want to gift you with my free starter kit ebook. Go to askdrannika.com. It's askdrannika.com and click the bottom button on the top, and you will get to the right place where you can get this free ebook. This is where everything starts, where you will take the first step that you need to do to achieve a less stressed life. You will be guided with the exact things and the steps to do in this link. And on the website, you will also find my contact page where you can connect for mentoring or speaking to your group or any of my other services. That's what I had to say today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Annika, for those wonderful tips. And for those of you who are listening, if you're wondering why things aren't working right in your life, you might want to check out what she suggested. The idea of getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep is like a foreign language to me. I'm trying to remember when was the last time I did that, but certainly do enjoy having 3 meals a day. So maybe that counterbalance it for me. Thank you so much for spending your precious time with us today. And we look forward to hearing from you again. And now let's move on to our next speaker. Now, our next speaker is someone I've seen him before, and I believe I've actually heard him speak. However, today he is going to share some information with us. And one of the questions that he has to ask is, who are you underneath it all? And why don't you get out of it for crying sakes? So please help me welcome Mr. Rex-Sikes.
Thank you so much for the welcome and for being here. And I certainly enjoyed the good doctor's talk. And it's just an absolute pleasure to be here. The question of is who are you, like when you showed up on the planet, when you were first born, if you showed up neurologically intact, or even if you weren't completely neurologically intact, you are a unique gift and a unique expression on this planet. There's nobody else like you. And then from that moment, this little lump of joyful flesh that has the ability to communicate. In other words, it can smile. It doesn't see it first, it can't see it first. And, but it hears and then it starts absorbing everything around it from its primary caregivers. and as well as throughout its first few years of life. But this child shows up and smiles, and then it has needs. And so how does it make its needs known? It cries, or it whines, or it yells, or it screams, or it does something to get attention. And then the second the needs are met, you notice what it does? The child goes back to smiling. So it's like we were born in joy. We are born a clean slate. And then because we're this sponge, essentially, this newborn sponge, we start absorbing the attitudes and the beliefs and the tones and the conversations and the hopes and the fears and the dreams and the anxieties of those people who are taking care of us. And this process continues throughout life, essentially, but it's really set in place by the first 6, 7, or 8 years, where we have layered ourselves with everybody else's opinions, their beliefs, their limitations, their challenges, their problems, their hates, their hopes, their loves, and none of them are really ours. And then as we grow up, you know, when the child is early on, they even talk about themselves in the third person, like Sally wants a cookie or Bobby wants a cookie, because they haven't learned the concept that I am Sally or I am Bobby yet. They just are conditioned to respond to the name. So, you know, you're not Sally and you're not Bobby. You are this beautiful expression of the universe now in physical form, and you're now getting and absorbing all the stuff that's around you. And the Hindus actually have a concept of this. It's that God chooses to come to earth in a human, giving himself or herself amnesia for the entire process. It's called Leela, or divine play, so that the process of living through life is the process of awakening to who you are inside and who you are really. Even the Bible says, be still and know that I am God. Listen to that still, quiet voice. And Jesus said, I and the Father are one, you know, and I have come that you may have life and have it abundantly. And so our opportunity is to live with incredible joy and incredible happiness, incredible blissfulness, and free of limitations and challenges. But here's the thing, all those limitations and challenges and all those limiting beliefs and all the stuff that we got growing up are part of the play. They're all part of the plan. And so what we get to do as we move through life is sometimes what we do is our experience validates something. So what happens is we encounter a problem or an obstacle or an experience that seems awful. It seems devastating. And we go, see, that proves it. I'm no good, or I'm unlucky, or I'll never amount to anything, or I'm meant to be alone, or I'll never make enough money. And so we then self-validate the beliefs that we co-opted from others when we were children growing up. We don't have to do any of that, but we do. That's part of the process. That's part of the divine play. So the process of living on this planet is to uncover who you truly are, and who you truly are is this unique expression in life who's here to contribute to all of life and consciousness on the planet. It's about love, and it's about compassion, and it's about enjoyment. And all of the challenges and obstacles are there to wake us up to who we are. They're the screaming that we did as children. They're the crying we did as children. They're the alerts and the alarms that go, hey, pay attention, pay attention. This thing that really seems bad is here as a gift for you. It's not happening to you. It is happening for you to awaken to who you are. Because inside each of us, because of the life we live and everything we've done, is talents and abilities and resources. All of the resources. You know, if you're angry, anger is a resource. If you're sad, sadness can be a resource. Grieving is a resource. Loving is a resource. Being happy is a resource. Being confident is a resource. So all of life experiences that fashion us, whether we label them positive or not positive, are there for our good, and for us to discover how truly amazing, how truly incredible, how truly wonderful we are. And most of us live far beneath our own power and our own possibility. We are infinite potential, and we are giants, but we live as very tiny little creatures. So my job is to help awaken people to what it resides within you, and that what resides within you is far more powerful and positive than you could ever begin to imagine. So this is why the saying is, you know, we can connect the dots looking backwards, but not so much looking forwards. Sometimes in life, something happens. I've had numerous of them, challenges, or I've lost everything. You know, I've had different troubles, And at the time going through it, if you wake up to it, you go, this is happening for me. And you start to look for the good and you start to look for the opportunity in the adversity. But for a lot of people, they don't do that. So what happens is 2, 3 years, 10 years, 25 years down the line, they can look back and go, if it weren't for that tragedy or it weren't for that bad situation, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have the success or the relationship partner. I wouldn't be free the way I am. While other people will say that thing 25 years ago is why I'm stuck and broke and suffering today. It's a choice. Truly, it is a choice. And so if you wake up to the fact that you have a choice and you can choose, and if you look for the good in all the adversity, and if you look for the good inside you instead of what's wrong and what the problems are, and what happens for most people is that they approach themselves from their conditioning. So if they were told as a child, you'll never amount to anything, and then their life experiences, they seek that confirmation. Then what happens is I'm looking at something, I don't see what happened here, so maybe I got interrupted, I'm not sure. But they don't see all of the positivity, the infinite potential, and the possibilities for themselves. And you can. So I have a free gift on my website. It's Rex-Sikes.com. It's my name. It's spelled up there, Rexsikes. I'm the author of a book called Life on Your Terms. And I hope you get it because it's a powerful book that delves into these principles and the practices that you can use in order to transform your life. But the free gift is called Your Biggest Problem and What to Do About It. It's a free 22-minute audio. It's an MP3 downloadable. You go to my website and you can claim your gift right there. And you can also sign up and subscribe to a newsletter that I put out that has tips and advice and suggestions for how you can live powerfully and positively. But the key point that I want to leave you with is look inside for the good and look outside for the good. There's a principle called Hebb's Law. My blog today, by the way, addresses this. If you go to my blog through the website, it's if you never read another blog again, read this one. It essentially says this. There's this notion of Hebb's Law, which says neurons that fire together wire together. That means that whenever we do anything repeatedly, like play the piano or swim or cook or express confidence or juggle, that when we do that, we activate our neural pathways and we lay down, like in the old vinyl records, we lay down grooves that become paths for the behavior to become habitual, so we don't ever have to consciously think about it. So neurons that fire together wire together. And we use this in motivating people and saying, look, if you affirm and if you live positively with positive feelings, letting go of your problems, and you affirm, then you can make positive changes. Here's the rub. Most people use Hebb's Law the other way. They look at their bank book and go, oh my God, I'm broke. And they activate those neurons and perpetuate being broke. They go, oh my God, I'll never, ever find love. And so they then activate the neurons of not having love and they recreate and perpetuate that. Or they go, this bad thing happened to me when I'm 17, and they retell the story over and over again. And now they're 42 telling the same story they've told for all of those years. They continue to perpetuate a pattern of defeat or of being broken or of struggling or strife, when in fact they could be doing the opposite. So if you're going to affirm and use affirmations for 5-10 minutes a day, or a vision book, or a vision board, then you ought to know that you need to be aware of when you're traveling down that less than glorious pathway and activating the neurons that you would prefer not to, so that you can take a moment, stop and breathe, release that and change the pattern, and then begin anew by affirming what it is you do want. And that is the choice that we have. And that's to wake up to who we are, what we're capable of, and to assume the power that was yours from birth, and to live that way all the days of your life, helping not only yourself, but contributing to others and making the world the wonderful place that it already is, that some of us sometimes just seem to miss because we're not looking for the good, but we're looking in the wrong place. So always look in the right place and you'll find what you're looking for. My name is Rex-Sikes. My website is Rex-Sikes.com. I want to thank everyone here for the opportunity to speak to you, and I enjoy you. I love you, and namaste. Have a beautiful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rex. Thank you so much. And I 100% agree with you that everything that we do, every decision is a choice. So when we start complaining about what's going on, we need to stop and think, who made the decision?
Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that with us. I just reminded me so much of when I was a kid. I don't know why it left me, but when I was a kid, I used to think about, oh, we're like tree branches. We get two ways to go.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful way to think about it.
So, well, thank you for being a part of the program today. We're thrilled to have you here. And we are going to move on to our next speaker. I did see that she was in the house. So I'm going to briefly switch over here just to double check, make sure that she is here. Hey, Carrie, you are here. Fantastic. I've had the privilege of hearing you speak before, and today she is going to share with us the 5 tips to alligator-proof your creative and is it innovations? I'm having a little trouble with the wording there. Okay, innovation ideas. So I want all of you to put your hands together and welcome this very special lady who is going to be sharing with us. We often get stuck. And when we get stuck, we don't know what to do. But she is going to change all of that. So please, let's welcome Carrie-Vanston, the alligator lady.
Hi, thank you so much for the nice introduction, Lawanna. I'm real excited to be here. I really loved the subject matter, power of expression. And I was kind of trying to think, well, how can I take my material and really make it really fit that perfectly? And I thought that what I would talk about is how to be more creative, because when you're more creative, you can really use that personal expression that you have. So I thought, I actually co-wrote an entire book about how to be more creative by finding small trends that are going to become important opportunities. But the first thing you really have to do to be creative is you got to get in the creative mindset. And that is something that I talk a lot about. So I thought that I would talk a little bit about creating that creativity mindset, and then some ways that you can intentionally take advantage of it. You see, with the way that we are wired as human beings, we have a thought which leads to an emotion, which leads to an action. If your thought is, I'm not creative, I just can't come up with any ideas, then your emotion is going to shut down on you, and you're just going to kind of back off and go into the fear mode. And then your action is going to be just kind of sitting out of the corner and never getting anything done. But if you change that thought to something more like, yeah, I can do this, then, your emotion is more like, okay, I'm going to get this done. And your action is you go out there and you slowly write something, or you create a new product, or, you grow your business or whatever. But if you can intentionally energize that thought and say, wow, that I can really do some really cool stuff here. I have some creativity, I can really use it. Then your emotion becomes excitement, and your action is to go out there and really come up with some great ideas and outcomes and opportunities that normally you might not do if you didn't change that thought. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about some ways that you can change that thought so that you can get excited and you can really use that creativity to grow your business and improve your life. And at the end, if you want to stick around, I'll be happy to send you 7 ways to alligator-proof your creativity too. The first tip I'm going to talk about is looking at your past successful creativity. You see, often when we do something in the past, we kind of forget about it, that success from the past. So if you can really think about, and really what I'd like for you to do is I'd like to for you to be thinking about a project that you're kind of working on right now and how you could add some creativity to it. And so I want you to think about the past success that you had in a similar area with creativity. I have a client that I work with, and she told me when I first started working with her, oh, my sister's the creative one. I'm not the creative one. My sister is. We go to an art museum. I don't know what she gets into with these paintings. I just don't think, oh, they're just pictures, And I said, yeah, but you know what? At work, you are so creative. Some of the ideas that you've told me about, that's creativity too. She said, wow, yeah, So we started writing down some of the things that she had done at work. And she said, yeah, I really am creative. So we added to her affirmation list I am creative in my own way. And so really be thinking about things that you've happened in the past that you might be able to bring to your creativity, to your creativity now. So just think about that for just a second. What have you done in the past? And in her case, she just got a new job. She actually got a job that she really loves. A better job, and now she's taken some of those ideas that were so creative from the past job and she's using it in this job too. And so, you know, it's just that mindset. Yeah, you know, I have had successes and I can have future successes. How can I take advantage of that? The second tip that I'd like to give you is frustrations. Think about your frustrations and think about your customers and your stakeholders. What are their frustrations? What drives them nuts? And really be thinking about how would I help fix that? Because, you know, everything we do, you know, we used to have to, I remember we used to have a key to open up the door, you know, of the car. You know, it's just all these little things. And someone thought of a way to fix it and made money and helped people with those ideas. One of my clients, he noticed when his kids were little that they were really frustrated that they couldn't ride big boy bikes and big girl bikes. You know, they had to ride tricycles, and you know they were really a biking family. And so, you know, he and his brother started thinking about it, and they came up with this idea of having little tight bikes that didn't have the pedals on it, so that the kids could just kind of like push themselves along. And over time, he and his brother actually developed a whole series of 5 different sizes. And so the people would start with the little tiny ones, and then they go on. You know, the third one was one with the pedals, and then keep on going up. And then they would give discounts when they traded in the bikes. And so, you know, he developed a whole business around that. And then his business got so successful that, you know, he called me in to help get his mindset up to the next steps and get comfortable with all of this great stuff that was going on with him. So that's another idea. Really think about, you know, what you're working on right now. What's kind of frustrating? What is something that you might add to it by really thinking about how frustration fits into that. A third thought is follow the leaders. And this is just so great. I mean, it's amazing. And you just think the internet has only been around about 20 years or so. You know, it used to be that, you know, you couldn't really find out what people were thinking on the fly, but now you can look up blogs, you can look up their Twitter accounts, you know, the leaders in the industries that you're interested in, the things that you're interested in. You can really find, you can even reach out to them. Often you can just direct Twitter them or you know, find their website and write in their comment section, or set up a discovery session. You know, you can really find out what the leaders and what you feel passionate are doing. And then you can, you know, 2 or more people working together, they connect with a higher intelligence, and you can do the same thing by connecting up with the people that you really admire. So, you know, that's another great way. For me, gosh, after we wrote the Mini Trends book, I realized that a lot of the people we were working with, their organizations were very closed-minded and fixed mindset. You know, just do it the way we do it. Just stop coming up with these ideas. Like what we're doing is good enough. And I just really wanted to help the organizations. And so I happened to read an interview by John Mackey, and who wrote the CEO of Whole Foods, and he wrote a book called Conscious Capitalism. And all of a sudden I thought, oh, I can help these people become more, these organizations become more engaged. And I started a kind of a business around that. Then I realized that really, if the leadership was stuck in a deep mindset, they couldn't really be open to be engaging and using the innovative skills of their people. And so I got involved with thinking about coaching, and I went through a 9-month, 320-hour coaching program, and I came out the other side with just all these methods and techniques to help people get out of that mindset. And then I got interested in other people. Victoria Gallagher is my favorite right now, who talks about hypno ideas to get the mindset. So now I come up with all sorts of ideas with that. So, you know, it's just really follow the people. Think about the people that you admire and then kind of use ideas from them. A fourth one is make goals. And this is so important because your conscious and your unconscious mind, your unconscious mind is huge. Your conscious mind is actually quite small. So you've got to feed that unconscious mind. And one of the ways to do that is to set a goal, because then your unconscious mind has something to aim for and set things up for you. And so, set that goal, and not only set it, but feel it. How will it feel? Because that gives your unconscious even more, because your unconscious is really about feeling. Your conscious is about thinking. For example, I have a 10-session program that I give that teaches emotional intelligence, interaction, true communication, and then your leadership wise. And I've been giving this offline for about 3 years. It's 10 hours of one-on-one coaching and worksheets, and I want to put it online. But being that it's all basically one-on-one coaching, it's like, how do I do that? What am I going to do? How am I going to write it? How is it going to work? And so I set myself up. I'm going to do a lead in to this at the end of May, and I'm going to somehow launch this. And in my mind, it's so impossible, my conscious mind. So I'm putting it out to the unconscious, and I'm going this weekend to a 3-day retreat with the National Speakers Association, so that I can just concentrate on it. And I know that by doing that, I have a much better chance of moving forward on that. So I really suggest, whatever you're thinking about right now, you do the same thing. Give yourself a goal, and then you can work toward that and feel it. Finally, I want the last one is write it down. And Lawanna is going to be talking about journaling, and this is like the same thing. You want to write things down. When you have an idea, write it down right away. Or what I do a lot of times in the morning is when I'm most intuitive, when I'm still half asleep. I'll come up with an idea and I'll write it on. I'll put it on I'll open up my memo on my telephone, and I'll do the recording on the sound on the memo, and I'll just say it out loud, and I'll record it, and then I can save it and send it to my email. So there's all sorts of ways you can just make a quick note of it on your email or on a piece of paper. And then, you really you get all these ideas, and your subconscious mind can start working on them. So that's another thing that I really suggest you do, is write down ideas and journal, because your conscious and your subconscious mind can make stories much quicker when you write things down. So I'm going to real quickly share my screen, and then I'll be done. I wanted just to review real quick. So look at your past creative successes, your frustrations, follow the leader, set goals, write it down. If you'd like to have a copy of the 7 ways to alligator proof your creativity, feel free to call me or email me, thealligatorwrangler.com. You can look at my website, or it's Carrie@Carrie-Vanston.com. Also, if you'd like a discovery call, connectingwithcarrie.com. Love to talk to you. And what I like to leave you with is, when you really energize your creative mindset, you will be staying on the top of your game and your business and life. And you will, how do I get off this thing? Here we go. You will be able to honestly say, see you later, alligator.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie, so much for that. I hope you were taking notes. Carrie gave some great tips on how to get yourself out there. And Carrie, thank you for that shameless plug. I totally accept that. So our fourth speaker, unfortunately, is ill today, and I'm so sorry that she's unable to be here. So for those of you who know Jill Lubin, know how energetic she is. And so for her not to be on this call means she is really feeling bad. And I hope that you will all send some prayers and good wishes for her to recover, get well soon, and get back out there, because she has wonderful tips on how to become an influencer that people know about, that people turn to. And I'm hoping that she will be on next month when we have the next virtual summit, because she truly does have valuable information. Well, as you know, we have PSA, who is one of those organizations that help you to get known as well. And if you become a member of PSA, you have opportunities like today to get in front of an audience and speak. I don't know about you, but I love speaking. It's what I have no idea why, because if you knew me when I was a kid, I was super shy, very bashful. My mouth was always closed and my head and eyes focused on the book in front of me. I still do that. But somehow speaking got in there, and I have been told by a person who I considered a good friend, we don't know how to shut her up. So I don't mean to run on today, but I did want to share a little bit about who I am so that when you hear me do my presentation, you will have some idea where I'm coming from. This is exciting to be the host today. I am looking forward to hearing our other speakers and just make sure that we have.
We've got our other speakers lined up. Lawanna, if you want to share a little bit, please feel free to go ahead.
Great, thank you.
And if anybody has questions, they can absolutely chime in, raise their hand. Lawanna can see those. So if anybody's got questions, wants to chime in, we've got a little bit of a gap here. So there's an opportunity to participate if you'd like. Lawanna, please share. Go ahead.
Thank you. As Carrie mentioned that I'm going to be speaking on journaling, and I really have gotten into journaling. I've discovered there's so many things that you can do with journaling. And I don't want to take away from my presentation, but I do want to emphasize the importance of having a journal and writing those thoughts and things down, because you can look back. I have some things that I've written down that was 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago. And some of those are things that I think, oh my goodness, did I really let that upset me? Or, wow, I've come a long ways from that. And I even have some stories that I started that I just wrote little notes down. And as I look at them and I go, oh my God, did I really write that? The thing about journaling is that it can help you in so many ways. Mental illness, I shouldn't say mental illness, but mental health situations. It can help release some of the stress. I know Dr. Annika Sörensen said that we do need a certain amount of stress, and I will agree with that, just like we need a certain amount of fear, because if we don't have that fear, we're liable to get ourselves into some serious trouble. But when it becomes a thing that it controls you instead of you having control, then you need to think about, how do I get rid of this? I don't want this controlling my life. And one of the ways to do that is to write it down, put it on paper. And I don't care if after you write it down and you read it and you say, okay, I got it out of my system. I don't want to see this anymore. So I'm just going to tear it up or stick it in the fire, burn it. But the main thing is get it out of your head. Don't let those things control you. You make the decision as to whether or not something is going to control your life. And I suggest putting it on paper puts you in charge. You now have the power of the direction that your life is going in. So if any of you have any questions now, would be a good time to ask me. No, it will not. I just saw the clock. It is time for our next speaker. And let's see if the next speaker is on yet.
We've actually still got a few minutes there. We got about 13 minutes. So if anybody who wants to participate, maybe has questions, because we've got a gap since Jill didn't join us today. So real quickly, I would love to share if anyone is interested in joining the Public Speakers Association, you can go to publicspeakersassociation.com and check out what you get with your membership. If you'd like to get on the schedule to talk to somebody directly about that, you can do it there as well. It sounded like Christy unmuted herself. Christy, please join.
Oh, wow. Hello, everybody. You can't see my face, but I just want to say hello to everybody. I know I haven't been here sometimes with this pandemic. I don't know when I'll be at the office or whether I'm, working at home. So it's difficult for me to sign on because I never know, I may have to cancel at the last minute. But I just want to say the PSA, Public Speakers Association, has really been great tool for me in terms of spreading my message. And some of you may or may not know who I am. My name is Christy Iwuchukwu, and I help women with speaking as well as storytelling so that they're able to narrate their life story into a tool that amplifies their business confidence and influence. That, in essence, is what I do. And I love to work with women and men too, but majority of my target audience is women. So for those of you that would love to join me, you can go on over to narrateyourstory.com on Facebook, and I'll be glad to have you as a part of my community. So, and I hope to speak next week. That's really exciting. I hope to speak next month. I said next week, no, next month. Like I said, sometimes it's difficult, but I really have had the time. So I'll be speaking next month. So I'll hope to connect with all of you. Thank you all. Thank you, Jessin, and thank you for all the hosts. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Christy. And for those of you who want to know more about her, you can find out about Christy over on the PSA. Or Christy, why don't you put in the chat box how people can reach out to you? They'd like to learn more about storytelling and the importance of having a good story to get your business going.
Lawanna, someone is asking about your podcast.
Yes, I will put that information in the box. And yes, I am always looking for guests to be on my podcast show. Our podcast goes on to it can be heard on iHeart and Spotify and a few other podcast networks. I was just trying to think of some of the others, but anyway, we have a good number of people who tune into the podcast show. So if you want more information, I'll put that information in the chat box, and also on Facebook for those who are listening to us over there on Facebook. But it's exciting. We talk about you. Okay, the show is about you. So if you've got a message that you want to share, or if you want to learn from some people who have already gone through what you're struggling through, it's a good show to listen to because we give out all the tips and whatnot.
Lawanna?
Yes, Carrie?
What is your favorite, one of your favorite guests?
Oh, I have, her name is Barbara Ellison. It is the strangest thing. We met over a networking event, and we just started talking, and it's like we had known each other forever. We have to actually cut each other off because we love talking and sharing. But she's an excellent guest. She is going to be on my podcast show. In fact, we've already recorded it. It just has to be uploaded. So I'm excited about that. And I had the opportunity to be on her program as well. So yes, anybody out there, I'm always looking for opportunities to speak.
And Lawanna, what is the title of your podcast so people can find it?
Courage to Live Your Dream.
And why did you choose podcasting?
Well, be perfectly truthful, because I like talking. And I get to do that with my podcast show. Sometimes when I I have guests who are not sure of what they want to say, or they kind of get stumped, then I can pitch in there and add on to something that they may be sharing. And I just like to bring people on there who want to do something, but they don't have a way of reaching out to others. And I give them that chance. I was that little quiet girl who sat in the classroom, who always wanted the teacher to call on her because I knew the answer, but didn't have the courage to raise my hand. And now I just pop into most any and everything. And so I try to give others that same opportunity. I run across people who I feel are in that same situation where they want, but they're afraid. And so I try to help them by offering them those opportunities to show themselves and let people know what they can do.
Yes, Nora is very surprised by your desire to talk.
Well, I don't know why, since she's always telling me, stop. I don't want to say something. Stop. Let me say something.
If there was a sarcastic font available, I'm pretty sure that's what that would have been communicated in.
Oh, well, it's been a pleasure to host this show this week, and I'm excited about it. I've been making sure everybody knew that I was going to be a host today. And
well, it's fun having you, Lawanna. You're a good hostess, and I'll tell you, to be honest, that your voice is so soothing to me that I could just let you do the 2 hours and not do anything and be perfectly happy with it. I'm glad to be behind the scenes. It works out just fine.
Thank you for that, Jason. But I see we have I call her a distinguished guest. I've only known her for a few years, but this lady is someone who I admire because she's just been doing so much, and I don't know how she keeps herself going. But Suzy-Prudden is in the audience. Suzy, we got a couple of minutes here, so why don't you quickly tell us a little about you and what you do?
Thanks, Lawanna. I didn't expect to be talking now, but I have no problem with it. And who am I? Well, I am Suzy-Prudden, and yes, that is Oprah sitting on my right shoulder, and I have her there for 2 reasons. One, of course, is to edify myself, and the other is to let people know that when you write a book, you can do things like get an Oprah. And I'm going to talk later about writing a book and the importance of writing a book. I've had an extraordinary career. I've had extraordinary careers. I've been in business one way or another since 1965 when I started my first company. And what else do you want to, what do you want to know, Lawanna?
Well, I think you pretty much covered. I don't want to steal from any thunder from your presentation that you'll be doing later on.
Okay.
I just wanted to let everyone know that you were in the audience. And yes, if you want to get noticed, again, we have a lady who can make sure you do it with one of her itty-bitty books.
That's correct. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So I have never realized just how long a couple of minutes could be.
When you're hosting and you've got a space to fill, it takes a lot longer than it feels like, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Right. And that's why you have someone to run the board to help you out to fill in those spaces. So because we were on the subject of podcasts, let me share that on April 18th, we are going to launch the PSA podcast. We have 11 episodes already recorded and ready to come out with a very candid conversations with Elsie Flanard, the mayor of Podcast Town, myself, Jason Antelek, the current owner and CEO of the Public Speakers Association, and members of the Public Speakers Association, having conversations about speaking, the speaking world, what it's been, where it's going, what sorts of things are happening, what we expect and see. Lots of different ways of looking at how the landscape has changed and how it is going to change and what to expect. There are some folks who really changed what they were doing. And frankly, there are some very successful people who didn't change a thing. So there's lots of different ways to look at it. I prefer to go from a mindset to a mind flex, if that is something that interests you and piques you to want to know more, then the PSA podcast is for you. It is not always the happy-go-lucky version of a conversation because I tend to be a little challenging and I ask for definitions and explanations of why things are a certain way. I don't always go happy-go-lucky into the night that every piece of advice is an absolutely good one. So it definitely has its moments of contention here and there. So worth giving a listen to. We always do it in good fun. We always end in a good place, but we do ask the hard questions. So definitely be watching the Public Speakers Association website for not only the replays of our virtual summit, which we do every month, but also the podcast itself launching this month in the next couple of weeks. And also for our partners that have podcasts. So folks like Lawanna, who is hosting for us today. Also Edward Jones, who is in our audience. He's also got a podcast, and we'll be sharing with those folks what they're doing in their podcast. So you'll be able to link and see what's going on with some other people. We are just about to that point.
Very briefly, Jason, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I didn't want the time to slip away from us. You mentioned about former owners. You want to share that quickly about some changes that have taken place with the PSA?
That would be for our members to join and make sure that you're coming to our monthly meetings.
Okay. All right, then. Thank you so much. Thank you all for stepping in and helping to fill this little gap. Again, please send some prayers and well wishes for Jill Lubin. We greatly miss her being on here this morning. She has so much energy and enthusiasm, and I don't think I've ever seen Jill without a beautiful smile on her face. So as I said before, for her not to be here, she must be feeling pretty bad. So Jill, we wish you well wishes and that you get well soon so that we can once again have you on the program. All right.
So we are waiting for Kathi to get a solid connection here. She is often traveling and sometimes has internet trouble. So I have seen her popping in and out here. So that's probably what is going on for her. So Kathi will be our next speaker, but we're going to have to wait until she can get herself a steady connection. So as we continue here, Lawanna, we'll just, I'll chime in and let you know when she's here. I guess we'll just keep holding space for her. We do have several other speakers today. Stephanie-Luera, Suzy-Prudden, and the amazing Lawanna will be joining us. It looks like Kathi has made her way. So Lawanna, if you want to go ahead and begin your introduction.
Great. Thank you so much. As Jason said, our next speaker is Kathi-McCarty, and Kathy's title is Meth-Toxin in Real Estate. So you want to find out what does that mean? And text up. I do not believe that sorry about that. My little cheat sheet tried to slip away from me. Kathy's is going to be speaking on meth toxin and how they are in our homes and our spaces and how they affect our health, physical safety, and our financial security. So she's going to share some prevention through awareness, education, and please let's all welcome Kathi-McCarty. Kathi, great to see you.
Thank you for having me. I'm very delighted to be here, have a chance to address your audience. Again, my name's Kathi-McCarty, and I am the founder and advocate for Meth-Toxins-Awareness Alliance. Many people because I founded this prevention platform after my own home and my own life was severely impacted by meth toxins. I believe today's focus is more on self-expression, and it simply reminds me of why I'm here, that I want to ensure that we all have safe spaces for ourselves and our loved ones. Many people ask me, why does this affect me? I don't know anybody that does meth or has meth in their lives, or maybe they say, I bought my home brand new, and so I'm my family's the only one that lived here, and I can totally understand all of these questions. They are great questions. A little bit of a brief story is that in 2016 I had a major health event. I live on the Front Range outside of Denver, Colorado, in a bedroom community in the foothills, in the forest a little bit. And this health event, subsequently, I made a decision to rent out short-term our family home. I have 3 grown children, and they were all in various levels of college. And so through that period of time, I used a property management company. And unfortunately, within 90 days, they had rented it out to a tenant in 2018 that had not only consumed, but cooked meth in my home. I had a very unique situation where I had a water line break at my home. I came to the house for what I was told was a minor repair. There was no minor repair going on, and I wandered around the backside of my home and I found some very suspect hardware that I could not identify. And that ultimately led me to reach out to the local authorities. And within a couple of days, they served a search warrant, and they found not only a significant amount of drugs of many types, including over 800 grams of meth, but the hardware and the chemical components for cooking it, as well as other hardware that was extremely explosive. This put me on a journey, and this was in the fall of 2018. This put me on a journey where I knew that, based off of what I learned, that what meth toxins does to our health and to our physical safety, as well as our financial stability, that this was my call to action, and that I needed to do more than just to deal with the tragic mess that I was dealing with, but to turn my mess into a message to help others. It's a story that I guess it's where Breaking Bad collides with me channeling my Erin Brockovich. For lack of a better term. That being said, how does meth toxins affect our health? Well, I did a lot of Googling. I had 100 huge hurdles to deal with in the very first 100 days. I did not bring slides or anything here, but I do host a couple times a month with experts in the meth toxin space. I do host an event. We can talk about it at the end. And I share with the audience the pictures of the hardware that I found in my home and things like that. But the health issues are significant of all ages. People of at risk, like myself, young children who crawl on the floors, touch the walls. They do all sorts of things. It affects their behaviors. It's almost like somebody either dealing with low and or high level amounts of meth ingested in their system. So think of it that way. If you have babies or children crawling on the ground, they get this inside their systems. And meth toxins, after it's been either smoked or manufactured, it permeates into the walls and all the materials. and it has to be formally extracted by experts in the meth remediation space. The other thing that I learned is even if it's remediated to the standard within the state that you live in, if your state is fortunate enough to have any standards, that it may not be totally gone. That even though during a particular time of having it tested, it could be in other areas of the property. I also learned that it's very highly impactful to upper respiratory systems. One of my sons is asthmatic, and to be in a meth space would be, it would affect his breathing. Low levels may not be as noticeable, but high levels significant, like that were in my home. I couldn't even stand in my home for longer than a minute without it significantly burning my eyes. Yet you could not see any visible signs that there was any meth consumption there at all. You can't smell it, you can't see it, you can't feel it, or any of those, any of those issues. The other issues are relating to the safety factors, the physical safety. When somebody is doing illegal activity, and the hardware and the chemicals that were found in my home, as well as the small arsenal of guns that were found in my home, that makes it highly volatile and highly explosive. The law enforcement authorities that were in my home compared the fact that had my home blown up, we could have literally had something as significant as what happened in the summer of 2018 in Paradise, California, where a tremendous amount of the community burned down through a wildfire. That something like that could have happened in our own community. It's a small community, and it's a lot of forest. And had there been an explosion at my home with all the hardware and chemicals that were there, not only was the community not safe, the people, as well as their fur babies, their family pets, but their properties were not safe, and they could have been significantly impacted. How is this also significant, you may ask, is that because of the criminal activity that went on in my home, I did learn that as much as I try to protect myself in many ways by vetting the property management company and asking them very significant questions about how to vet a tenant, how they were vetting their tenant, and had they verified this with the particular tenant that they had placed in my home, I had all the right insurance protections in place. I had an endorsement on my homeowner's insurance to have a tenant in there. The tenant had a renter's policy. And yet I learned that not only does environmental impacts affect residential property, even though it's used for commercial purposes, criminal activity also voids our insurances. And we are not protected when there's criminal activity. It's a standard exclusion in most underwriting policies with any brokerage association that I've checked into, and there are hundreds. I have yet to find one through the experts that I've worked with. So again, another very significant point about our impacts. So what happened with me is I found myself spending thousands of dollars every month, not only to pay my mortgage on a home that ultimately was condemned by the county because of the levels of meth toxins, but I had to pay the thousands of dollars in legal fees and whatnot to hold those folks responsible for their negligence and misconduct on my situation. Very highly impactful. So these are points that I want to bring to people who either have in their own homes visitors or subcontractors or anybody that comes into their home, people they may know or people that they don't know. Even brand new construction, I learned, at least on the Front Range, some of the experts quote that about 10% of brand new construction properties that they test have some level of meth toxins in them. And you wonder how that could be. And it can be from the potential subcontractors that work on it. I'm not here to instill fear, and I'm not here to bring any negative shadows over a very positive industry. But there are people within every industry that have issues with meth, and the statistics are alarming. One of the testing companies that I work with here that we talk about in our class is he mentions that 85 to 90% of all the properties that he tests have some level of meth toxins in them, and out of those, about 30% need additional testing and some level of remediation. It could be as simple as an exhaust fan in a bathroom, or it could be something much more severe like my home. But it is a prominent issue. It's not only along our Front Range here in Colorado, but it's a national issue as well as a global issue. And I've learned that there are no socioeconomic or geographical boundaries. It's not just an inner city, high crime, low income neighborhood type of issue anymore. It's widespread. The other point that I wanted to make is I briefly touched upon the financial instability. I mentioned about the insurance. That's a sobering fact. I come from a career where I had to leave it because of my health event and the effect that it had on my eyes and my sight. But I come from a very successful 30-year career in finance, lending, and banking, over 30 years. And I literally sat in hundreds, if not thousands, of closings, real estate on the level of commercial as well as residential. And nowhere in any of the training that I have had in either finance, banking, or lending did I even ever hear that meth toxins was an issue. I have many friends that are in real estate, and now that I bring this issue to light, many of them didn't even know that meth toxins was an issue. There is state to state mandates. Every state is different, but here in Colorado, I'll focus in on our state statute and regulations. Once a home is remediated to the standards within Colorado, which have some of the best standards because they tolerate some of the lowest levels that are really how they mirror how it affect children mostly, is from my understanding. But once it's remediated to that standard within Colorado, disclosure is not required, and it becomes buyer beware. That's alarming and frightening. In the case of my home last year, this time last year, I sold my home fully disclosed of meth toxins at a significant loss because of the exhausted financial and emotional judicial process that I had to endure to try to hold those responsible. It's predatory in some of the practices that happen within our judicial process, and I don't wish that on anyone. But in that case, I had to make a decision to let the property go fully disclosed, and somebody purchased it with the intent of potentially cleaning it up and renting it. And they were successful enough to put it back on, to get a variance from the state, and then put it back on the market and sell it 5 months later, fully disclosed. And it is my goal and my honor to honor the cabin, our family home, and leave a legacy to bring awareness, education, to provide the resources on our website, and to offer legislative changes in the future. And I'm honored that we've only just begun. So thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. That is certainly valuable information. Who knew that the leftover residual or something that someone else has done in your home could affect your health? So
yes.
Thank you for.
And then you can ultimately have the financial impacts down the road. If it resurfaces and then somebody else tests for meth toxins, you would be responsible for how to deal with it. Meth-Toxins-Awareness Alliance our Meth-Toxins-Alliance.com is our website. The events page, we have an April 20th class, and I look forward to being able to share this information with everybody. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And please put that information in the chat box so that others can, because if they're like me, I'll be trying to write and I'll miss something and it won't make sense when I go try to find it. So thank you again for being with us today, and most importantly, sharing that very valuable information, because not only, as you say, the health, but the financial repercussion could be devastating for someone. Okay, now we have our next speaker on board. I've had the pleasure of hearing her speak before, and I'm looking forward to it today. Our next speaker is Stephanie-Luera, and she is going, well, let's put it this way. After achieving her holistic wellness goals, she uncovered who she really was and not who she thought she wanted to be. So please, let's welcome Stephanie-Luera in Living Out Loud.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is that you are. I am excited to be here today. I love this topic this month of self-expression. This is something that I have really dove into and explored myself over the last several years in my own personal journey. And just as I have explored this holistic health journey, a number of you have heard over the last several months and through my own story, as I've walked through this course of really uncovering this place of what it is to find happiness, to find my joy. It was coming back through all of these goals, and it wasn't through just weight loss, through eating healthy, through finding fitness, but in all of those things and getting really settled in going through the process, it was coming back around to that joy. Living through those things, doing those things, the byproducts is living life. The achievement isn't the end. We don't set out in any type of I'm sorry, my words aren't coming to me quite as quickly today. I have a bit of a migraine, but when we set out to better ourselves, that end point when we arrive isn't where life begins. Life happens in the midst of it all. And for me, that's where I think that I discovered that place of who I was and where I wanted to be, and really discovered living authentically. In my journey of coming through losing over 200 pounds, of finding this space of coming into an amazing joy of endurance sports, and coming into coaching others and just helping them on their own journey, I was able to leave a career where where we presented ourselves was in a box. Our opinions reached a fence line. We were only able to speak to a certain point, and you had your talking points. Your opinions, your feelings could only be expressed to a certain point. And I feel like as I went through this journey on my own and really grew in myself physically and mentally and emotionally, alongside that, coming out of that career, I was able to start to find my voice, to really see who I was, in that career wasn't a fit anymore, because it wasn't okay to just speak a part, that I had more to say, that I wanted to be able to speak freely what was on my heart, and what was so much more than just someone else's opinion, but what I felt was deep and clear, ingrained in me. And so when I look at this idea of living out loud and self-expression, as we truly get inside ourselves, take those deep steps forward, little by little, change habits, and really move towards where we want to be. And it's different for each and every one of us, but we're not staying stuck in one place. We're not staying stuck in where we don't want to be, but we're moving to a place of freedom. We're moving to a place of joy. And we're bringing in the resources, we're bringing in the accountability and all the other tools we need to move forward and have the support that we need. So I thank you today for allowing me to share, a little bit disjointed today, but I'm excited to have been here and just to share that we do have that freedom to share our joy as we walk through the journey today. So thank you.
My throat decided it wanted to itch at that moment. Thank you, Stephanie. We do have a couple of minutes here. I'm curious, what made you get into holistic wellness?
Well, I came into this space of working in body positive fitness and nutrition counseling through my own journey of losing over 200 pounds, and just really finding that, there's not a one size fits all. There's not one diet. There's not one exercise plan, but really coming alongside people and finding, what does bring you joy? What is that those little things? What are those barriers that are in your life that we can pull out? What are the things that we can bring in that help you, that are edifying for you, that are getting you to where you want to be?
That is amazing. 200 pounds, you said?
Yes.
I didn't mishear that?
Nope, that's correct.
Wow. Now that is a selling point. Maybe I should talk to you. I could stand to shed a few. I thought I knew who I was, but maybe I don't. Maybe I should be talking to you, girl. Well, thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for sharing that information. And it's wonderful to know that you found something that actually worked and that you recognize that it's not a one size fits all. I think a lot of times we make that mistake thinking that, okay, this work, it'll work for everybody. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thanks, Lawanna.
You're welcome. Okay, now we are ready for
Wait, before we move on, real quick, I just want to toss in there that I don't lose weight, I give it away. I give it back to the universe because I'm not looking for it. If I lost something that says I'm looking for it, then I'm going to try and get it back. I give it back to wherever it's supposed to be. It's just one of those possibilities, folks. It can be very helpful if Mind Flex is a thing that you work with.
I love that. I don't lose, I give it away. I'm going to have to remember that. Thank you so much, Jason. Okay, our next speaker, as I mentioned before, I met her a few years ago. And one of the things that I have come to really admire about Suzy, is that Suzy is a little ball of fire. Nothing stops Suzy. Not COVID, nothing. When she puts her mind to what she's going to do, she goes all the way, no matter what. And it's just really thrilling to know her and to watch her, because she's got more energy than people have her age. So she is going to share with us the fact that little books make big power, make a big difference, I should say. And her position, how you position yourself is as an expert. You can learn how to use your book as a business builder, not just as a business card. And that's important. So thank you, Susan. Please welcome Suzy-Prudden as she shares with us her story on how your book has power. Suzy.
Thank you, Lawanna. Yes, your book has power. And I'm looking at the picture of myself before COVID. And now, this is my COVID hair now. I am completely gray. At 77, I think that's probably appropriate. So again, I'm Suzy-Prudden, and yes, again, that is Oprah on my right shoulder. And a little book has power. A big book has power, but 95% of Americans don't read right now. So you really want to write a little book. And you want to keep as much fluff out. If you want to write a story, that's a different book. But a book on what you do and how you do it is the most powerful thing that you can do for your business, as well as for the people who are going to read your book. I started my publishing career as a writer. Well, actually, not as a writer. How do I say this? I didn't write the early books. I partnered with my ex-husband, and we wrote the books together. In 1971, I had a fitness school in New York City and a summer camp in Long Island. And I sold my first book at a cocktail party in East Hampton, Long Island. I met Joni Evans, who was an editor at William Morrow, and we got to talking, and I told her a book idea I had for toddlers. And she said she'd be interested. Did I have an outline? Well, of course I said yes. And she said, I'll pick it up on my way back to the city on Monday morning. She would drive right by my house on Montauk Highway. So I wrote the outline over the weekend, gave it to her on Monday morning. She called me on Thursday and said, yes, we would like to publish your book, and offered me $3,000. I said, let me talk to Jeffrey, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Then I called William Morris Agency, and I said, hi, this is Suzy-Prudden. I just sold a book to William Morrow, and I need an agent. So they assigned an agent to me. I did it completely backwards. The agent negotiated the contract. She got me $5,000. The problem was I couldn't write, but my husband could. So he wrote the book. We did the exercises. And quite frankly, they didn't buy an exercise book from me. They bought my name. My mother is the nation's foremost fitness authority. She started the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports. She's written about 18 books, and the name Prudden was a famous name. That's the name I use. It's not my original name. And I've been Suzy-Prudden ever since 1965 when I first started teaching exercise. Fast forward. The reason you need a book, that book got I did 11 books. Those books got me television career, They got me a radio career. They got me in newspapers and magazines all over the country. I did 18 national tours. I represented products, all because I started writing books and I started publicizing books and I got the books out there. The real work when you write a book is after you finish writing the book, when you have to get on the road and start marketing it. Now, today it's a little easier because you can sit in your living room and market it, but it isn't actually easier because now you have to find the places to market it. But let me tell you what a book can do for you. Let me show you what. This is an itty-bitty book. It's that little. It's 15 chapters, 2 pages each, written in numbered sentences and paragraphs and bullet points. This is a book on space. What Pam did, she took this book to the Boys and Girls Club of America, and she said, I would like to teach your kids about space. And they said, we would like to have you teach our kids about space. She is now teaching kids about space, and they are raising money to buy her itty-bitty book. There are 4 million kids in the Boys and Girls Club of America. So she gets $1 a book, you do the math. This gentleman wrote a book on safety. He was the safety, head of safety at the Apple building in San Francisco. His job was to make sure that everybody that got on the site in the morning got off safely in the evening. This book was translated into Chinese. The Chinese government invited him to China to change the protocol of the safety there and to lower pollution. This woman wrote a book on marijuana. She didn't know she was going to do that. She was thinking she was going to write a book on spirituality, but she was a marijuana distributor in Washington State. This is before it became legal in California. And now she started a cannabis coaching program, and she teaches people how to teach people how to use cannabis safely. This book is about healing and cannabis. And she probably makes about $100,000 every time she does a certification program. This book is on sales. And he grew his business from $100,000 to $750,000 a year in 2.5 years, using his book as a business builder, not a business card. So think what you do. Can you write a book? It doesn't have to be a big book. As I said, 95% of Americans don't read. So you need a book, again, not as a business card, as a business builder. Your book has legs. Get it out there and get it walking, because you make a difference. And if somebody doesn't know about you, then how are you going to get out there? As a speaker, you have more of a chance to get a gig as a speaker with a book than without a book. My friend Christine Blasdale, who used to be the fundraiser for KPFK here in Los Angeles, says she has a podcast, Out of the Box with Christine. And she says if 2 people come to her with the same topic and one has a book and one doesn't, she chooses the one who has the book. So ask yourself right now, do you have a book? And if the answer is no, then you probably want to contact me. If the answer is yes, but it's sitting in the drawer, you probably want to contact me. I also have Legacy Press, and we do memoirs, and I have a cookbook line, and I have a children's line. I'm going to give you a gift now. In one of my careers, as I moved from 1965 to 2021, I was and still am a hypnotherapist. I created 4 processes, we have them on MP3, to help you write a bestseller, and 4 processes to increase your wealth. I would love to talk to you. I'm going to put that information in the chat, and please go to my web, just click on it. It'll take you to a place where you'll give me your name and email. We'll send you those on an MP3. And all you have to do is listen. They're not long, just listen. Get yourself out there with a book. It's imperative for your speaking career. Here we go. I just love this. Lawanna, do you have questions for me?
Well, someone was asking the question as to how many pages. What's the smallest number of pages you've had?
This book is 30 pages. When you take into consideration the introduction and the table of contents and things like that, it comes to 43 pages, but the basic writing is 30 pages.
Okay. And I know that you've taken several people to #1 bestseller.
We have, thank you, Lawanna. We're doing a bestseller campaign today. Today is our 86th bestseller campaign.
Wow.
Yep, and we have 85 bestsellers. So it's very exciting. We do them usually on Thursdays every other week. There's a formula. And Jason, you asked me how long does it take? That's a wonderful question because we don't know. Last summer, we had someone sign up to do an Itty-Bitty-Book, and they got us their book in 4 days. And we got that book out in 4 months. And you may say, well, from 4 days to 4 months, it has to go back and forth a number of times. We have 3 different editors that look at the books. Now, it may be an itty-bitty book, but it is a massive production. And then I'm just now releasing a book that the woman signed up in 2015. She was one of our early authors. 2015, and her book is finally coming out. And you may wonder, why did it take so long? Well, it took her that long to get us the book, and then it takes time going back and forth to make sure the book is in absolute tip-top shape. And you'll always find mistakes afterwards anyway. I want to look here. How long does it take? I don't talk money when I'm speaking. I talk money when I'm in private, because most people, when you say how much is it and you tell them, they go, oh my God. So it's not about the money. You have to think about you have to think of your end game. What do you want your book to do for you? My books, I mean, I made a lot of money with my books. I made a lot of money. Most books today don't make a lot of money, but it's what you do with the book. I mean, with Anthony, $750,000 a year. With Kat, $100,000 in a weekend. With Stephen, going to China. With Pam, 4 million kids. I mean, think of the end game. This woman here wrote a book on hypnosis, and she was spending every Friday at a shelter here in Los Angeles, doing her give back, helping the women change their minds so they didn't go back into the lives they had before. And she wrote this. She was doing it free. No, she never got paid. She wrote this book and got a $25,000 grant to do what she had been doing for free. So when you start thinking about doing a book, it's not about book sales. It's about what can you do with the book? How will it position you? You are an expert. You want people to know you're an expert. Once you say, I have a best-selling book, people's ears prick up and they want to know more. So think about it. Contact me. I'll put my information in the chat again. And just contact me. Mm-hmm. You also get an opportunity to have a conversation with me if you want. And let me help you get your book out there, because it makes a difference to the people who read it and to you.
There's another question. Do you print a bunch of books or in-house?
That's a very good. Thank you for asking that question. It's on demand, that's very important, because my sister and I wrote a book. This was the book that my sister and I wrote. James Malinchek suggested that we write a book. So I was in the weight loss business at that time, and I thought, okay, I'll write Suzy-Prudden's Itty-Bitty Weight Loss Book. Now, Suzy-Prudden has been on everything that I've done since 1965. So we wrote this book, and at that time you had to purchase 2,000 books at a time. We bought the 2,000 books. This is 2006 or 7, somewhere in there. We bought the 2,000 books. I think I have 1,800 left. So we're very happy that you don't have to do that. We use Amazon, we use Ingram Spark, and we always put the books up on Kindle. If you go to Amazon and put in Itty-Bitty, You're Amazing Itty-Bitty, you'll see a whole bunch of books that come up. If you go to my website, Suzy-Prudden, no, it's not Suzy-Prudden, it's Itty-Bitty-Publishing.com. Yeah, Itty-Bitty-Publishing.com, and you'll see all the books. It's very, very exciting. I love it when people, we're putting out 3 books in the next week. I'm really excited about it. And I hope you will talk to me and become an Itty-Bitty author.
Great. Thank you. Are there any other questions while we have Suzy? This is a this is a rare moment that we can catch up with Suzy so we can ask
You know,
questions.
it's funny, Lawanna. It's interesting right now with COVID. We when COVID hit, so to speak, it was literally a year ago, and I travel a lot. I had come back from, where was I? I was in San Diego. I came back Sunday night. I was supposed to leave for Santa Cruz Monday morning. And then I was going to go to San Jose at the end of the week, and then Las Vegas over the weekend, and then back to Los Angeles. Monday came, we're shut down, and I was sitting in my living room going, okay, what am I going to do today? And I thought, well, I better start connecting with people. I've created a bunch of calls. You come to them sometimes, Lawanna. We have dinner at your place on Fridays, and we have Change Your Mind, Change Your Life on Thursdays. And I've just opened up my author's call, my Tuesday author call, so that people who are not yet authors can be on that call and get the information. Craig Duswalt spoke this week, and Christine Blasdale spoke last week. Jill Lubin is going to be a speaker on my author call coming up. I'll put the, I don't have that information. I was not opening up to the public, so I'll put my information in the chat for dinner at your place. And if any of you want to come and join us on dinner at your place, what I did was during COVID, I thought, okay, so how can I help people stay in touch? And I created a dinner party at your place. Now I'm looking for it in my computer so that I can give it to you. Here we go. And there we go. I think what's happening with where we are today is incredible. There we go.
Okay, thank you. I can tell you that it is a fun event to go to. Everyone gets to share what they do. They get to collaborate if they want with one another, which is just amazing. I love that.
It's a wonderful way of people coming together. And the way I look at it is, I figure the West Coast people are having their glass of wine. The East Coast people are having their brandy and cigars, and everybody in the middle is having their meat and potatoes. So we cover both coasts and the middle, and it's really it's not a buy my product group. It's this is what's going on for me right now group, and it's dinner at your place.
Yes, and I got some wonderful tips going there, just sharing what I was doing and asking if anybody has some suggestions. So great place to go. You want to make sure that you attend that, follow that link, see you there on Friday. Okay. Again, well, thank you, Suzy, so much for being here today. And thank you for the wonderful presentation. And we look forward to you being on the program again. That's
Thank you.
Suzy for you guys. Thank you. Now, we are coming up to the best part. Oh, I am your next speaker, and I have been looking forward to this for the past month, being on the program to speak. I have done it before, but it's always new to me each time I come on here. What I'm going to talk about today is journaling. Writing is a form of healing and of finding out who you are. And best of all, it's between you and you. So today, our whole program has been about self-expression, and you heard all the speakers talk about self-expression. I am now going to talk about self-discovery through journaling. Are you journaling? Are you aware of the many benefits of journaling? Are you aware of how important journaling can be in your life? I started journaling years ago for many reasons, and I realized a lot about the benefit of journaling. It allowed me to openly and freely, without judgment, express myself. I was able to release emotions and feelings that might have been bothering or causing me anxiety. And I don't know if you've experienced that or not, but sometimes things just become overwhelming. I always think of myself as a strong person because that's who I've always had to be. If it wasn't for journaling, I'm not sure. It allowed me to confront the problems without feeling confrontational or that I would cause someone else discomfort in the things that I share. Sometimes you have something on your mind that you want to say, and you're afraid to say it because if you say it to the wrong person, it could backfire on you. Journaling allowed me to be able to I don't know why I chose that word, well, never mind. It allowed me to categorize my feelings and emotions and how to get control of them and stay in control. And that for me is important, being in control of me rather than having someone else control me. One of the most important things that it did for me is that it gave me a friend I could talk to and sort out my problems with a winning result. But not only that, it allowed me to have the needed conversation on paper with a person or thing that might have hurt or upset me without me losing my power. So let me share 5 of the reasons that I journal. There are so many more, but these are the 5 that I chose to speak on today. 1, it helps you to identify your inner thoughts and feelings. 2, it is a great stress reliever. 3, it helps you to understand what makes you tick. 4, it motivates you to act. And 5, it encourages you to use positive thinking. Now, these are the 5 of the reasons that I selected. You may have other reasons, and trust me, there are so many reasons for you to be journaling and how it can help you. Let's start out with it helps you identify your inner thoughts and feelings. What I discovered when I journal things is that I can say what's really on my mind. And I don't have to worry about what somebody else is going to say or how they're going to accept it because it's between me and the journal. And I have the choice. I can save that or I can totally destroy it once it's out of my head. That's the important thing, is to get it out of my head. Because do you know journaling can lead, journaling, I'm starting to say, do you know journaling can help you with mental illness? It can help you with stress. It can help you when it comes to a heart attack. Sometimes we hold stuff in and it just tightens up. It becomes like a disease or illness of some sort that affects you. But once you get it out, it's like those toxins that Kathi spoke of. When you get it out of there, your life is so much better. The second one is a great stress reliever. Well, I just kind of combined that when I was talking about your inner feelings. You can be stressed out about something. And I know a number of people who walk around with things that they're holding on to in their lives. In fact, one of my sisters, I used to tell her this all the time, write it down, don't hold that stuff in. Because even though she was talking to me, she wanted me to agree with everything that she was saying, and I didn't always agree with what she had to say. And so that would sometimes lead to an argument. And so I just started telling her, write it down. You can say anything you want when you put it on paper. You get it out of you, and it relieves that stress or that anger that you've been holding on to. And sometimes she did, sometimes she didn't. But I'm encouraging you to make journaling a part of your everyday life. It does not have to be a long, drawn out thing. Or you could just write down, I woke up feeling really raunchy this morning, but that is not going to control my day. I have decided I'm looking for the positive in life. And shut the book and go on. We make everything so complicated. It does not have to be complicated. It helps you to understand what makes you tick. That's number 3. And I'm still working on that because I'm learning that there's a lot to me. There's a great many parts to me that I sometimes don't recognize. I'm trying to remember who it was that said that. I think it was, might have been Dr. Annika, who mentioned the fact that we have things within us that we don't always realize are there. And I certainly know that I've had many successes in life, but I don't always remember those successes because it's more important to listen to the negatives that get into my head. But if it's written down, which I'm starting to do, go back and put those successes down, I can go in and look at those successes and go, oh, wow, I did this. Or I made a difference in somebody's life. One of the greatest things for me is when someone approaches me and said, you know, when you told me such and such a thing, and I tried it and it really worked for me, or I modified it and it worked for me. Because I don't care if you change what I had to say. I just want you to do whatever it takes for you to be successful and to be the person that you want to be. That makes a big difference in my life for me. And I know that sometimes people say, well, you should be charging. Well, I'm like, in this instance, I'm like Suzy, who says it's not about the money. Sometimes it's just about helping someone to get to where they need to be. Now, 4, it motivates you to act. This one I know for a fact, because there have been many times when I've written things down that had been bothering me, and I had no idea how I was going to handle the situation, and I just started writing. One time I started writing on something that was bothering me. I mean, it was really bothering me to the point that a friend of mine actually noticed something was going on, and she asked me about it, and I kind of told, nah, I don't think I should be talking about this right now because it's not really just me that's involved. And she reminded me, go write it down, put it on paper. Don't worry about it, just write it down. And I did. I started writing, and I was complaining and I was whining. But you know what? As I put that stuff on paper, I started feeling better. And then after a while, I started thinking, okay, so how am I going to get out of this situation that I'm in? Because I do not like going to doctors. That's my thing. I don't like going to doctors. Okay, so I'm not going to some psychiatrist or counselor to tell me how to do things in my life. So I kind of started thinking about what kind of things I could do to change what my situation was. To make a long story short, what ended up happening was when I went back to read that, I realized I had a book. This is the book that came out of writing my whining and complaining down and the steps to get me out of it. This book, as Susan said, it has gotten me speaking opportunities. I remember attending Tim Gillette's conference. That was almost 2 years ago, about 1.5 years ago. And I'm sitting at the table with some people, and one of the ladies asked us, has anybody here written a book? Well, me and one other lady said, I have. And she said, do you have your book with you? Well, I had mine, the other lady didn't have hers. And she said, do you mind if I read it? So I gave it to her. I said, here, keep it. She said, thank you. Well, the next morning, she had introduced herself, but I didn't know who she was. If she was just another name for me. But the next morning when we came down for the conference and to listen to more speakers, she was introduced. And wonder of wonders, when she walked up on stage, she had this book in her hand and she raised it up and said, if you have not read this book, you need to go out and buy it. I was so flabbergasted, I didn't even think to take pictures or anything. Thankfully, someone else did. It turned out it was Nancy Matthews of the Women Prosperity Network who had been sitting at the table with us and talking with us. And that is a valuable lesson. It certainly was for me. Always have your book with you and be ready to share it with someone, because she gave me such a great testimonial from having to read it. And it's not a big book. It's only about 50 pages. So you don't have to make things big in order for it to be a success. Now, the fifth one was thinking positive. It helps encourage you to think positive. And it does, because once you can get those toxins out of your system, you start thinking about ways you can either better yourself or ways you can remedy the situation you find yourself in. You start looking for good things. It's like Lincoln said, now I hope I'm quoting the right person. He said, whether you're looking for the good or the bad, you're going to find it. It might have been Henry Ford too who said it. But the point of it is, I start looking for the good. That's important to me. And I've had people who ask me, how come I smile all the time? Well, that was one of my goods that I look for. I made a decision that I had one person too many who asked me if I was angry or upset about something. And I decided, this was in 1995, I have not forgotten the year. I made the decision in 1995 that I would smile and speak to everyone that I came in contact with you. And I have to tell you, it was hard. It was super hard. My face muscles were not used to going up in a smile. I could only imagine how I looked to people when I was trying to smile and making myself saying hello, hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I wasn't used to doing that. But for me, who was a very quiet and shy person, it was a great thing to do. I no longer had to figure out how to have a conversation with people, because people would just start a conversation with me because I was smiling or that I had spoke to them. So it was great. It was a win-win situation. So those are my 5 reasons that I chose to make journaling a habit. You know, as I said, I always have journaled, but I never did it because I consciously wanted to do it. It was usually when something was going on bad in my life. But you know what? If you write these things down, you can go back and look at them. You can think about, oh, wow, I went through that. I'm sure glad I got past that. Or if you write down, well, for me, I wrote down some little stories that I never finished, but little short stories and not anything fancy. But when I go back and I look at them, I think, I didn't think I could put words together like that. Another benefit that I didn't mention, I should have, is you can leave a legacy for your family. So your family know who you were, what you were thinking when you were at various stages in your life. And why I am so passionate about journaling is because it has helped me come into my own. I really feel passionate about journaling. I've always liked writing and reading, but now it has taken on a whole new meaning because I understand the many, many benefits you can derive from journaling. It's allowed me to get to know who I am. It's allowed me to confront the monsters and speak up against the bullies and maintain a love for myself. And when I say bullies, I don't mean somebody bullying me by saying derogatory words or things like that, but the bully that I sometimes carried in myself that limit me on what I wanted to do. As I put it in my book, when fear comes knocking at the door now, I no longer open the door and say, come on in. I slam it in his face. So it allowed me to get to know me. And I'm still getting to know me because, as I said, there's so much to me that I do like and things that I did not know that I like. And it has made me feel There are so many who hold their emotions inside. I hope you're not one of those. If you are, you lose control of yourself. You can gain that back by getting it out of your system. Put it on paper. And as I said, if you're afraid somebody might see it and you don't want them to see it, destroy it. The main thing is to get it out of your system. It has helped me to learn how to express myself, categorize and process things that I needed in order to move forward in my life. And I want that for you. I want you to connect with yourself and utilize your journal to help you accept and discover who you are. I want to do that by offering you an opportunity to work with me in my program, Self-Discovery Through Journaling. This will be about a personal discovery for you and having an outlet of support in your journal. So if you like, I can give you I've gotten the title of it already. It's a 7-day workbook on journaling. And I'll be happy to send it to you. And all you have to do is text LW to 415-212-9757. And I'll make sure you get a copy of that journaling. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of the program today. Jason, thank you. I know I've read a few. I think I might have gone over a minute, but yes, they say they can't shut me up.
Lawanna, thank you so much for sharing your passion and the reality of what self-expression can do, and a way to do that that really has meaning to you in the journaling. And you have, in our circles and in your speaking, made yourself a little bit famous in that journaling department. Everybody knows how much you love it, and I think it's beautiful that you're spreading that. One of the things that you and I share is the bottom line, that just get it out, right? Just get it on the paper, throw it in a drawer, shred it, whatever you're going to do. The fact you got it on paper is expression. No one ever needs to see it. Put it on a canvas and throw it in the closet, or paint over it and do something else. It really doesn't matter. Cooking is a form of expression, and then we eat it, right? It disappears. So there's so many ways, and just to get it out is really what matters. So thank you for being so open and sharing what your experience is. There were a lot of interesting personal pieces there.
Thank you. Thank you. It has been a pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to host this month of the Public Speakers Association Virtual Summit, and I'm looking forward to next month.
Fantastic, as we do every second Thursday from 10 a.m. to 12 with our speakers from the Public Speakers Association. If you would like to participate, we would love to have you. You can go to publicspeakersassociation.com and check out what membership entails. If you are a member, you can sign in and get yourself signed up for the next summit. You can also get on the schedule to talk to me and get yourself figured out for what it is that you can do with PSA to take advantage of your membership to get your message out there. Lawanna, thank you so much for bringing your passion, your power, and your self-expression to the Public Speakers Association Virtual Summit today. It was a gift to have you. You made my job a little more fun today, and it was great to have that calming energy and to have you around. So appreciate your participation.
Thank you, and thank you all the speakers and the guests who were here today. We truly appreciate you, because if it weren't for you, we would not have this program on air today. Thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you to everyone. And we are signing off. The replay will be available at publicspeakersassociation.com and is immediately available on the Public Speakers Association Facebook group, which is public. It's not a private group, so you can go and watch the replay anytime. All of our participants, please feel free to make your way over there and include your information. Thank you so much for listening. And those of you watching the replay, we appreciate that. Take care, everyone, and we will see you next month.